Good evening, free enterprise fans. My name is Solaris. I'm joined here by Antidale, joined here with Antidale, and we're here for another exciting race. How you doing, Antidale?
Doing good. Looking forward to see what happens in this matchup of 2-1 records, where one runner is going to advance to 3-1 and be not quite guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. We only need one more win. The other one will be 2-2, and then trying to save off elimination. So a whole lot riding on this match for both Eykir and Gambit.
Yeah, definitely a lot to ride on. And I see the Sid start here. I like this quite a bit. Of course, we'll need to get a second Sid. This does not count towards the objective of get Sid, but that starting kit with the Dwarven Axe, very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I know at least one runner who does not like to loot really when he gets a starting Sid. Getting that Dwarven Axe, getting that Strength Ring can kind of power your way through most of the overworld. Um, I like to still do a little bit of looting because you still have other characters on the team that you might want to have to be useful. But we're also looking at probably having a somewhat melee heavy team overall. We know there's another Sid in the seed. We know there's an Edge in the seed. We do know that then there are two other duplicates too, so we'll have to see who our partner is, of course. But should be a little bit of a bruiser kind of a seed and not one of the mage heavy ones that we've seen sometimes recently.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because often we get a character, if we have like a character objective and a boss objective, not that it tends to happen, but it's very easy to happen that one of them gets locked behind the giant or whatever, right? But when there's two characters, I think the odds of seeing both Edge and Sid locked behind. Now, this could be commentator's curse. I hope not. But I think we're likely to see at least one of them show up, at some point where we could actually gear and equip this character and use it, and use him. And especially Edge, I'm particularly interested in. Of course, Edge with the Sineki flag could just start with like a charm claw. That would be difficult, but really a good dart, really good for darts if like nothing else. So yeah, this is a very interesting start for me.
Yeah, and since we're on T Wildish, it's pretty easy to find edge weapons, a ninja sword, long swords, even Rosamis can just kind of show up in the wild. So if we do see an early edge, I imagine our runners would probably do a little more looting. But their loot paths are going to be very interesting too. We've seen some people dive at Lund Castle and risk those having to reset and regather some loot when you run into a trap chest, but you're getting a little bit better loot even than the Watery Passage. Or you might see people just going straight to the Watery Passage, getting a pretty good selection of loot, or people just avoiding loot altogether.
Yeah, definitely. I am learning for myself. I'm becoming one of those folks that, in the mindset that if I can take this Dwarven Axe and just go immediately to Antlion or to Mount Hobbs, get that character or get that key item, you can loot of course, you can loot Antlion immediately with this kind of start. You have the power probably to get through the boss, and then you're giving yourself the chance to find something like a magma key, where really you can start to loot the underground instead of necessarily above ground and have just a slightly better pool of items on average to pull from. That's kind of a mindset I've liked. Of course, looting is pretty important here. We do need to kit these characters that we find. But yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
that
We'll see what they choose to do. There are a lot of diverging paths I've seen. Some go to Baron, like you said. Some go to Eblin Castle, Watery Pass. We'll see what happens.
yeah, and some people take a mindset of like, let me see who the other character is, let me see what starting item I get before I make any decisions, and kind of route based entirely on what they're getting in terms of the seed, rather than having a standard opening. So it's always really interesting. But here we've joined by a Yang. We've got some form of leg handing us a pan.
Oh, I love finding this pan right now. Of course, we put that in our back pocket. It's one of those key items we can't use yet. But once we have our underground access, we don't have to play this game of how long do I put off that Sylph Cave. Once underground, I go there immediately. We'll probably see our runners do that and then complete that chain all the way back to Sheila. So it's a good one to start with.
Yeah, absolutely, and it really kind of prompts you to do that early, just straight to Hobbs play you were talking about, and then down to Antlion in hopes of getting a magma key right away, and just not spending any time looting if you can avoid it.
Yeah, but we see our runners starting here. Gambit running straight north over to Damsian, and Eykir is stepping into Baron right now, going to do a little bit of looting. We're going to see what this character is in the Baron Inn. It's Cecil, who I often call Better Kane.
You're not wrong, but we also did find a silver hammer too, which is actually pretty nice. We can use the starting dwarf axe to back row glitch Sid, but then we can also equip him with something that actually does a little bit of damage and doesn't tank his agility. So that's a nice pickup for Eykir. And we do see Octomam in a vanilla spot, just hanging out in their waterfall.
When I see Gambit pulling a Fire Claw, weirdly enough, Fire Claw kind of excited to find because it's pretty unlikely that Yang started with one. So finding those elemental claws when you already have them feels pretty good here.
Yeah, it always feels real nice when Yang starts with a Thunder Claw, and then you run into Mylon Z, and you're like, wait, I don't have the thing for you anymore because you didn't start with it.
We see Gambit now moving in to raise the hovercraft, might take that immediately over to Antlion Cave, kind of see where he goes there, and our runners kind of converging here now, both taking a similar route.
Yeah, and I bet both runners are really happy to pick up that extra strength ring also. We do start with a strength ring in our starter kit, which is a nice +5 to strength for our character, but then getting a second one, since we have 2 melee characters, really nice to have, so you don't have to worry about which one am I going to put it on. You're going to put it on Sid initially, but Yang can at least kind of feel happy and like he's going to contribute.
Yeah, definitely. The more strength that you can pile onto Young, the more, I'm going to say, viable he becomes in the overworld, because he's an investment at base level with really no gear, which sort of is how he would start anyways without C-Neki. He's not very strong. But with that Sid as our primary damage dealer, that really won't be an issue. And we see Gambit heading immediately to Hobbs and Eykir as well. This has become quite a popular routing path for this for this flag set, because we want to get our characters right away and we want to get experience in them right away. And here's a Porum, which on the one hand is a white mage, on the other hand, oh, and more vanilla. Hello, Mom Bomb.
Aliceil, did you shuffle bosses much at all? Did you tell them to that they need to go somewhere else?
I think they were shaken up. They just sort of landed in the same place.
That's fair. That's very fair. But here we get Mom Bomb. She's already puffing up, ready to explode. Probably won't be too bad here. The entire team should live through this explode. Sid will probably do all the damage necessary. Yang can even use his kick and be very effective at it, because that's what he does in vanilla.
Yeah, I honestly really like seeing this boss here. With this team at a spot with a lot more hit points could be rather annoying. There's really no AoE on our team to speak of at the moment, and oh, poor, I'm getting sniped down here on Gambit's side. That might be okay. She might think of her, sure, think of her as an anchor. Though with Sid is kind of a natural anchor with that Dwarven Axe already. But yep, like you said, Kane. My brain is on Kane apparently. Yang making good use of that kick. So I like seeing Mom Bomb here because these gray bombs aren't really going to be a problem, and sometimes they aren't, and they can explode. And when they do their full health and damage, we'll see here hitting Sid. Only did 54. Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, really, really happy for Gambit that they seem to be targeting Sid only here. Very nice for him. Wow, 3 for 3. Everyone lives. GG for Gambit. One thing that I noticed that we do have Eykir taking advantage of that Dwarf Axe, moving Sid to the back row, and also putting his, making it so that when Porum joined the party, she was also in the back row, making it usually a little bit easier to keep her alive. She's taking a quick nap here, whereas Gambit has just left everyone in the front row, which means they're going to take full damage. So we'll see if maybe Gambit does any adjustments in his party order once he gets down to Antlion, or maybe does his next check after that.
We see Gambit here checking Mist Cave. This makes a lot of sense to me. You want to get these checks out of the way when you think of them. There could be, we're really just looking for the Mist Dragon here. Is there more vanilla? Okay, no.
I mean, once you've encountered 2 pieces of vanilla, I'm willing to gamble on that. That's a good choice.
Nice to see that Pain Man there, though. If we have, for instance, a nasty hook route on our hands, Though I suppose in this party, actually, Panman would really be not too much of a problem with all the character health that we're going to accumulate for Sid and Young, but it's still nice to just see that sort of out of the way, don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always just nice to give good information. It's one thing that Eykir had picked up when he went to do the Baron checks early, just knowing he's got two characters to find, just knowing is one of them sitting in the Baron Inn. We'll also see a lot of runners do the front of the watery passage and then go into Kaipo and check the character sleeping in the bed. Be like, do I care about a sand ruby or not? Information that you can accumulate early as you're doing other checks is really valuable in Free Enterprise, so that you know what you're going to get. And Eykir finds a cursed ring in Antlion Cave. That's a nice pickup.
Yeah, with that cursed ring now, if we keep our Sid and ends up being an anchor, really you can give Sid all the levels you want between that cursed ring and the Dwarven Axe. I mean, he is a perfect anchor for that purpose and becomes a great chemist in the late game, even with not being able to take too many turns with that cursed ring. And right you are about that Baron check, and Gambit made that, I noticed a bit later, Thunderclaw for Eykir out of the another chest here, another very valuable piece of loot for Young, like we were saying earlier. But that information, they both know that Cecil is at Baron Inn, so that really incentivizes going to Mount Ordeals at some point. Where on this, with these objectives, if nothing sent me towards Mount Ordeals and I know I just need characters and I find my path underground, that is something that I could see fading because we're not looking for a boss hunt. But knowing that we need Cecil now, it's like, okay, now I know I need to route that in. And I can maybe do that before picking up that Cecil where he really won't be getting experience from it anyways.
Yeah, and it gives you a chance to you'll climb outer deals, get that, and I think both runners will be finding a defense sword here, so that's a nice pickup for Cecil. And then if you've been able to go up ordeals without any trouble, you could go do the Baron Inn, and then if you still haven't found your way underground, you go do Fabul, and that's actually a good chunk of experience points for a level 1 Cecil to kind of get him online pretty early. It's been an interesting thing to play around with riding a little bit and to see where you can eke out some experience on people where you normally wouldn't be able to. That's Valvalis. How do you
Oh,
feel about Valvalis?
this would be extraordinarily rude, but I actually think Sid with the Dwarf Axe in the center can take care of this pretty easily. This is often a wall, depending on the right party composition in this spot, when you have no experience to speak of. Of course, Val on Eykir's side targets Sid immediately, but Eykir will keep that Sid up and alive, and yeah, we dealt 348 damage. It's just going to take a few swings here, so this is really not going to be a problem, and it's very nice to see this. Another boss that's nice to see immediately and just get rid of.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to see if we get a hook from this, because then our runners would know that a magma key is somewhere on the overworld, because Valvalis cannot block our only way underground.
Luca key found at this location. Another one of those key items we're just going to put in our back pocket. This one probably will not be used for quite some time. The Luca check is quite long, the sealed cave, but it will come in much later. But it's nice. It's still nice to see a key item. You know that might be some piece towards progress.
Yeah, I was like getting closer to 10, but also if we do find an early magma key, I am 100% on board with a very cheeky go and use a Star Veiler to in Sealed Cave get a bunch of experience on your characters. Yang and Porm would both love to get some levels. Porm to get up to Berserk, Yang just to get levels because his entire damage formula is based on him having more and more levels. Um, so just something to always be aware of when you have a Luca key. And maybe you haven't found sirens yet in the underground. There's only 3 shops there. There's a good chance nothing is there. So just a thing to be aware of and to kind of keep in your back pocket as a possible play.
Yeah, that's quite clever. That makes a lot of sense. It is very possible for no sirens to be underground, and if we find a hook and we check Eblin and then we find darkness and check the moon shop, it's still quite possible that we have no sirens available anywhere in the seed. Of course, at that point, it's a bit past what you were saying about taking an early, wall to get experience, but
Yeah, it's all predicated on being early enough that you're like, cool, this good chunk of experience is going to get me to Berserk and kind of leverage me a little bit faster into the seed.
And Gambit making this routing choice that I love that you brought up, heading straight to Mount Ordeals. What I love about this is that we're going to get some experience that we're really not going to be able to get for Cecil anyways, like I was saying earlier. And if we find underground access, a magma key really, before going to do the full defense where Eykir has found Antlion, we can go underground, do the pan immediately, and only make one pass into Fabul to get this Chuck and Sheila 1 and 2 out of the way. This is very efficient.
Yeah, and I don't mind Eykir's play here too. He's doing a good job putting Yang in the center, getting these power punches off, so that Antlion does not counter, at least when Yang is attacking. And Gambit having a nice find with that Sorcerer Robe up on Ordeals too. Form's going to enjoy wearing that, get some good extra defense, a little more magic power. Going to be really nice.
Honestly, even with that power staff, if you need to, she could swing.
Oh yeah, she
won't with this party, but
she could definitely bonk. She can also, with a power punch, you could also kind of wait on her turn after you initiate the power, let Yang complete it, and then bonk him with the staff. And hey, bonus round.
So far, the theme of the seed for me is bosses at kind locations. This is another one that it will take a moment to get through, but Demas could show up at such worse locations than this. But this spot really does not deal a lot of damage physically, and that's all she does is punch. So we might get through one missed phase, but otherwise this is pretty free.
Yep, Gambit slowing down Demist. Meanwhile, Eykir picks up a Legend Sword, so Fabul defense is very nice to have. It's one half of Forge. It's one of our objectives that we have 5, but we'll have to complete 4 in order to get the crystal. So a very good pickup and a little bit of weight off his mind, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still of the mindset. I think I definitely like Gambit's play more. I don't blame Eykir at all for coming here. It is something it's easy to route in and it makes sense. But I just think Gambit will make a little bit more use because we did not find underground access here. So, and it's a terminal key item. So that tells me that underground access can be found without ever coming here.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a little bit of a gamble to try and just route around your opponent, but maybe Eykir isn't feeling comfortable with this party going for deals, maybe want some more levels on Porum. I think for Gambit, Porum probably isn't getting Berserk until after Ordeals. I don't remember if she should get it here on the second fight or not. But with Eykir should definitely be having it while still on the mountain. So it is a nice pickup in terms of just early game experience. And this is a team that does kind of like it. Sid doesn't need it, but both Yang and Porum are big fans of picking up that 5,000 XP from Fabul.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think Porum will get a Berserk here for Gambit's side. I think you're right about that, but pretty shortly afterwards, she gets it at level 18, which we'll see what happens here. And Eykir finding Silkwebs, that's a nice pickup, and Ether 2s. Probably won't buy any of those, but yeah, I see a couple Silkwebs picked up. Those are very useful for either very difficult bosses or, of course, Aromas himself.
Yeah, both runners actually diving into Silvera, which is something I don't find myself doing terribly often. Doing a little more shopping than I normally do too, but it's paying out for them. I think they both found a Stardust item, which I would imagine that we might see Gambit use at some point in this fight, just to kind of help clean it up a little bit faster.
Okay, I finally found a boss. Let me try that again. I finally found a boss that is kind of annoying. CPU is almost never a problem. Like, it's never difficult. It's just a time investment. I suppose, of course, both runners know that they're going to need to deal with this at this location. So now that I'm saying it, it's actually pretty okay. But oh, Yang taking a punch against the healer orb here. This might be a bit of a problem. Good thing we have 3 party members here. Yang will probably pick up Porum. Hopefully he does not die here. Commentator's curse. And I see Gambit resetting. I don't blame this because I think the time to pick your characters back up and heal them through that laser that might kill them after you've lifed them up, likely just a missed target there.
Yeah, it was, he did a Yang power punch on the defender and then also swung with Sid on the defender and Sid killed it, which just made Yang just retarget on his own and he whacked the attacker instead of the main CPU. So really unfortunate for Gambit there.
Yeah, but not too much of a time loss all told here. I don't. That was pretty early on in the fight for him, so this will take a moment, but it will. It is essentially free. And Eykir heading immediately into Baron Inn. Very interested in that Cecil right now.
Yeah, we'll have a pretty easy time with this Leviathan. Is going to probably die in one hit, maybe two. But we'll do a quarter of the party's health and damage before he disappears. And then the real challenge is going to be whoever is behind Leviathan.
Oh, a blue robe. Let's see which one this is. All right, it's the Water Hag. Now this is a free boss that I don't really love seeing this here, but this spot is rather punchy, but it does mean actually that Eykir will get through this with this party without issues, where some other bosses might have been honestly quite rude, like an Evil Wall or something. So I think this will work out quite well for him.
Yeah, Evil Wall or Dark Imps would have been awful here, but Water Hag, not too big of a problem. Punches Yang once, Yang survives, so the team's going to punch now 3 times, and Water Hag's going to disappear.
And we'll get a Cecil for our trouble. Now, sort of leaning into the line of thinking that I've been on for the routing here, we will get that Cecil. Cecil, not very useful. He might start with a black sword. That is very possible. If he does, he actually can deal damage on ordeals. But we won't be able to back row glitch him against the CPU. And Eykir finding I believe that's a gold apple here, the one with for 100 hit points. That's a lot of money. I like selling those, honestly.
Yeah, that's good money, but it also does mean that Gambit is on the path to our way underground. This might not give it directly, but definitely is on the only path underground. Possibly the Demas that we fought earlier, or possibly here in the chamber. But Eykir's going to have to climb the mountain.
And there is our underground access. We have found the hook. Now, it is possible that Demas does have a magma key or another above world. Oh, and Wyvern here. Oh, Gambit immediately going into his inventory, getting that Star Veil off. The spot does have a 1,000 hit points. A couple of punches would not have done it. So a really good, quick thinking for him here.
And Porum, as always, the dodging champion of Free Enterprise. No one dodges more Wyvern Mega Nukes than Porum does. It's astonishing. But also, as our tracker Xenocat points out, Wyvern can't gate that hook and be the only way underground. Demas has got stuff.
Point. The Wyvern just showed up here. As I was saying that, yes, so the Demas must have the magma. Either the magma key or an earth crystal, twin harp, or Baron key. Those are the 3 that are going to show up. That's so interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a nice bit of, oh, here's a hook, and now if you're paying attention, you should know you don't have to actually chase it. You'll probably want to go check the character. That'll be a good chance for Edge to show up. We could get a second Sid. We could get our other Sid. Definitely want to be doing the character checking. But should also then follow up whatever Demas gives you if it's not a magma key directly in order to find that magma key and not deal with a hook boss.
Yeah, I think we're early enough that, well, okay, here's a thought. We have a defense sword. We can go get Cecil from Baron Inn, and then we'll probably see what Demas does before that, and then go to Baron Inn to pick that character up that we want anyways, depending on what this item is. What's interesting about the hook, I think it's early enough to want to go see that character because we don't really like this team at the moment, was what I was going to say, but a Cecil with a defense sword does quite a bit. And there's just our direct underground access magma key. I think Gambit will go immediately turn this in and go turn that pan in because that is 3 key items, right? 3 checks that are going to show up here.
Yeah, I'd be really tempted to just go pick up Cecil anyway so that I have Cecil when I'm underground, try and find myself a Siren, and get him online.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's directly on the way.
Yeah, I'd be kind of willing to fade the hook character for a short while I go pick up those 3 key items you mentioned, and also then Gambit would be able to pick up his Legend Sword too in Fabul. That's probably a pretty good driver for him, and then he could go swing him back around and pick up the hovercraft and go check out the hook character afterwards.
Right, and if we go underground, well, we will go underground, but as we're down there, we can check the Feymarch shop, and we can check Kokol, and we can check Dwarven Castle, the 3 places that could have sirens, coffins, hourglasses, what have you. And if we find the items that we want, and we have characters that we like, I'm pretty okay with just skipping that hook entirely until, you know, much later. Now, of course, Sid or Edge can show up there, and with the 2 bosses, that does sort of incentivize it, but putting that off a little bit means an Earth Crystal could show up, or one of them could be at Dwarven Castle. Like, it may end up being that, you know, the character at the hook isn't what we need.
It's true. I do like going to Evelyn Cave to find also that shop there. As you mentioned, some of the other shops where you can find sirens, Evelyn is unique in that it's guaranteed 2 tier 5 items, so a higher chance of getting sirens or pockets wine, or some of the stuff that we're really looking for out of that shop.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was 2 guaranteed. Are the other shops just not guaranteed at all, or is it like guaranteed?
They are not guaranteed at all. It's some hook route protection just to make sure that you get good stuff out of there if you have to go through the hook, because you might need some coffins or hourglasses or something. So it is a thing with the Evelyn shop that it does have 2 guaranteed chances of getting those that tier where sirens and hourglasses and coffins and stuff are at.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Wow, I feel like I've absorbed so much knowledge for Free Enterprise since I've started playing it some months ago now, and there's always something new to learn. Always something new to figure out. It's part of what I really love about this randomizer.
Yeah, there is a lot of depth. There's a lot of just little pieces of knowledge, like we had seen where we knew that Valvalis couldn't gate underground, and then we knew that Wyvern couldn't gate underground as the only way underground, so we knew D-Mist had to have stuff. There's just a lot to keep in mind as you're playing. But Gambit is dropping that key down the well, just going to go immediately underground, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably either going to head to Sylph immediately, or might peek the Feymarch just to see the key item and 2 bosses down there. I wouldn't blame either option.
No, there's a lot of good ways to go from here.
Yeah, definitely.
Meanwhile, Eykir is fighting the CPU, has not shut down that main core yet. Hopefully we'll be down, get through that pretty soon.
Yeah, we see Cecil swinging here. Yeah, 22 damage against the CPU back here. Not really so much of a contributor at the moment, but, you know, in the mirror room, you can put the Dwarven Axe on him right away if Sid isn't wearing it, get him, you know, back road immediately. And we see Gambit here looting the Feymarch. And this a Life Staff is a nice pickup for that Porum. This makes a lot of sense to me. Like I was saying earlier, there's just better weighted loot down here. Now there is a trap chest, and I don't think, oh, speaking of, there it is. So now Gambit can go right back down. I didn't see the top 2 chests down here, but, you know, you could just go straight to that Life Staff. Yep, that's what I see him doing. And then, you know, the next, 4 or 5 chests below this are completely free.
Yeah, it was, I think, a Thor Rage and a Flame Spear, so no great shakes in those chests that Gambit did not bother picking up again. Getting a Boomerang is kind of nice.
Yeah, that Edge that we're guaranteed to find if we find him early, that's our way to back row him. That doesn't always show up. I love seeing a Boomerang there. Crystal Ring and Power Shirt. Oh, this is quite good.
Yeah, the Power Shirt giving you plus 10
power
strength.
Shirt.
Yeah, well, Yang or Cecil. Cecil's probably the one I'm giving it to early. Yang maybe gets it later, but with the defense sword, that Cecil is going to make a little bit better use of it for the moment.
My brain keeps like forgetting Cecil is in contention here. I'm not sure why. He definitely gets out with that defense sword.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything quite yet, so it's totally understandable.
And Eykir finding the good news, like the bad good news, like, oh no, oh wait, good. That Wyvern is here, gets that Star Veil off, no problem. Finding camping gear here, I'm actually quite happy about. One thing I've run into myself on a number of my seeds is that if I don't do quite so much shopping, and if I don't find tents or cabins and I have mages in my party, it suddenly becomes like I have 2 tents to deal with this entire moon, and that could be quite scary. So I'm pretty happy to see cabins here. And now Gambit's gonna go check. We'll see what our Feymarch bosses are.
Ew. No to Baigan forever. This Mylon Z isn't terrible. We did find a crystal helmet. If we find some other crystal gear, that'd be nice too. But I probably want to come back to both of these later. They're just not terribly fun or exciting right now, and the party is better off by just delaying.
Oh yeah, definitely not. Those I think will get faded for forever. Now you can come back with even just a few, not a few, but after a number of levels, you bring Cecil back here, you back row him. He's wearing that good armor, like you were saying, and he can guard all the punches, and it's pretty easy to get your other characters, lower on health with those damage tiles on the way to this town. But there's no reason to do that really anytime soon.
Yep, Gambit running into the inventory boss didn't quite sell enough in the shops earlier. Maybe he didn't even think to sell. So just having to throw some items away and not get anything for it. But that's going to be a more common experience in the next round, where we actually can't sell stuff at all. Or stuff sells, but it sells for a big fat 0.
And even now, the shops, like, we have such good use of this gear, and, we're bartering with the shopkeep, like, no, this crystal sword, it's worth so much money. And they're like, what am I going to do with that? Hang it on my wall? I got nothing to do with that. I'll give you a quarter of the price of, like, the normal I'd buy it price. Of course, with that, quarter flag on.
Yeah, there's just a glut of crystal swords. I mean, who needs to buy any when people are just giving them away? But Yang visits Yang, gives him a nice heads up, and the sylph gives us an elixir.
Is the sylph like, stop hitting yourself, here, use this?
Yeah, you just give yourself a headache. You probably shouldn't do that. You should go feel better. Eykir continuing to just kind of trail along in Gambit's footsteps, except he does have the one check so far in Fabul that Gambit has not done, so we should see them getting close to equalizing on time pretty soon and get a better read of exactly where each runner is actually at in terms of overall time spent.
Yeah, they're quite close together. I think they've done a similar amount of like density of checks. I think Eykir will only be behind a little bit because, like I said, he will have to double dip Fabul here, and Gambit will not. But it will be really after that, after you get the key items here, where do the runners go from there? Of course, it depends on what we see here from Sheila.
Yep, it looks like Gambit is
we'll
following your lead and equipping Yang with that power shirt. Cecil got a whole lot of defensive stuff.
I think with knowing that Cecil's in the party, it makes a lot more sense to put the power shirt on Cecil, but I don't mind this at all. Especially during these early checks, I don't think it's really going to matter a whole lot.
No, I'm a little surprised Gambit didn't do a little more shopping underground to try and find sirens, but he'll get some good XP on Cecil here. Probably pick him up at 10 levels or so, and make him a little more useful.
I would just like to call out that this is one of the creepiest sprites in the game, by the way, this antlion. I feel like that's not talked about enough.
There's a lot of teeth. I mean, I kind of just want to
a lot
avoid
of teeth. And those eyes, I just like, what is happening?
Where is Antlion actually looking?
Everywhere.
Oh no, can Antlion see me?
Yeah, Allie is with me everywhere. Yes, Antlion certainly can see you and me at the same time.
That is impressive.
Which should be normal, but yeah, we're going to go with impressive. Gambit getting the good news that there's a key item here, and we'll see what Sheila has in just a moment.
Yeah, I bet Gambit and Eykir would both be really excited to see the other half of Forge here, just so that you might get a nice Excalibur on Cecil. I also think we've seen Gambit continuing to loot a good bit, and I wonder if Eykir might be done. This is Gambit's first time into Fabul defense. Well, that Avenger's nice.
Oh my gosh, Sheila just has the goods today. First of all, here, take this Avenger for Cecil. Yes, thank you. Every time. And then also here, take this Treasury. Thought you had good items now? Wait until you see what this treasury has in store for you. Of course, it doesn't have the tier 7 loot that we would like to see, but it is a nice density of probably high quality loot.
Yeah, I'd still loot this and probably hopefully make that my last treasure boxes I open that aren't related to a key item. But you'd be looking for some power shirts, some Zeus gauntlets, ribbons, just a whole bunch of good stuff that you could get out of here, out of this treasury that would help the team out a good bit.
Yeah, I agree with our tracker. Sheila is definitely saying us, not only does she want us to rate the treasury, she says, here, rate the treasury and see if it's better than this Avenger sword.
It would be really hard for the treasury to be better than the Avenger sword, but we'll give it a go. And both runners doing some selling too, which is a good idea to try and empty that inventory as much as you can of stuff that you don't need anymore before coming down here.
Yep, but it is time to rate that treasury.
One power shirt.
Full Moon is a pretty respectable, a good weapon for Edge here.
Yeah, a couple of moon veils, another defense sword. This is pretty good. We saw an extra cursed ring, samurai bow for Rosa, and a drain sword. It's acceptable.
I'm gonna rate this like a 3 out of 10. I would love this treasury, but we've already picked up basically all of these items. It is, of course, the power shirt especially, it's nice to have a second one of. That conversation of who gets the power shirt. Okay, you both get it. And Gambit moving on immediately here. Now, I kind of like the idea of just heading straight into Zot. Zot is an overworld check. It is, you know, in the vanilla routing, not as difficult or as powerful as some of the underground checks. But heading over to the hook, wants to see that character, sort of along the same mindset. For me, I like to go to Zot here because there are 2 characters there, as well as the experience that you can pick up. But we'll see what Gambit finds in the shop, and if he goes, I imagine he'll check the character too.
Yep, Porm should have exit by now. Hopefully we find some sirens here, and that would make, hey, there they are. Gambit decided to not purchase anything quite yet. I guess he's going to go find that character, exit out, and then come back in. Otherwise, Go ahead.
My guess is that he is thinking of walking back and looting. Now, I think we probably don't need it. We've already picked up quite a bit of loot. I don't know if you sell that second defense sword necessarily, but a lot of the extras that we've picked up are just kind of enough money for me. But this is a play to me that says I'm going to go see that character. I'm going to pick up, I believe that's a Palom.
That sure is.
Reset's right out. Not interested in that. The damage mage today, and headed right into okay, this makes a lot of sense to me. Saw the sirens, know that they're there. Now maybe I would have exited back out just to go buy them, but this can just get Gambit straight to Zot, along with that mindset again of I want my characters, I want, you know, additions to my party, and I want to find Edge and Sid.
Yeah, going to complete objectives, this is our best chance at the moment to complete 1 or 2 of them, and possibly even 3. We could get a 3-for-1 here if we have both characters and the Adamant or Pinktail. So there's a lot of value.
If we find that, I think I would be kind of terrified actually, because with the 2 characters, we're near Forge. 1 more key item after that would get 2 more key items. You know, if we complete Forge, for instance, and then find a Twin Harp, suddenly we're in go mode.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibility for this to suddenly change into a very, very fast speed. But also almost as much possibility or more for it to just kind of continue plodding along a little bit. Porm gets changed into a very small child. She's already a small child, so that's a neat trick. Cecil wielding that Avenger, making the guards counter when he did go attack is fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they saw mute bells for sale. I think Gambit's checking his inventory right now for that. seeing like, no, I'll just put this Avenger on, carve some things up. Now, chat made a pretty good point here. I kind of agree that it could also be that hook play might have been, I thought I saved outside, but I didn't sort of a situation, and I just ended up kind of back at Troya. Maybe I didn't mean to do that, and now it's just time to go to Zot because I'm here. That might have also been what happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibility for that. We just won't know until we are able to ask Gambit some questions. But there's a good bit of each. Yeah, Tiny Porum is napping for Eykir.
She's a flat pancake. I love that. What that looks like.
But there is a good bit of HP here with these guards, and we don't really have any mage killing gear that I've noticed. So it's just going to take a little bit. And they're going to punch all right, but not terribly. Just going to be kind of slow going.
Gambit looking at his magic menu, of course, Porum knows mute here, so that's the solution to their counter spells here.
Yeah, both the runners have cast mute on it, and both Xenocat and Softnub have been saying that there are mute arrows somewhere that maybe Porum had him to start with, but neither runner electing to equip them. These guards are mages, and it would take some good extra damage from them. It'd be something that if I were Eykir at least, I'd want to put him on Sid.
Really depends on the bow that they started with. If Porum or Cecil even started with a bow, if it's something like a short bow, that the awful accuracy on that might really not be good enough to incentivize using it. I like the use of the Stardust here, though.
Yeah, that is good. We did find a Samurai bow in the treasury, so the runners did keep it and not toss it out with that R button. They'd be getting some good work. Yeah, we do see those mute arrows in the inventory for Gambit.
Yeah, Sid would be a great wielder of that. Would definitely do a lot of damage here. As you play this randomizer, this is what I'm learning to lean into more. You realize that if you lean into that, the damage dealing gear that, accelerates your fights, because, you could do like 1,000 damage per swing, for instance, against these Baron guards, that really can accelerate if you find fight after fight that you can take advantage of boss weaknesses and really help you gain maybe even like 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how the seed went, versus your average time. So that's something I'm currently learning to lean on more in my own gameplay to try to, quicken how I get through my own seeds.
Yeah, and Ninja Debugger in chat asking why Eykir or either runner doesn't have objective number 5 complete. It's because we started with Sid, so starting characters don't count. But hey, that's an edgy boy.
So we know that Mylon and Friends is at the Golbez spot in Dwarf Castle. That's first bit of info. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, finding Edge here. I'm very happy to find this. We have a full moon. I don't know if you've picked up another ninja sword, but really the full moon by itself is pretty good. And we'll see the second character here, Tella.
Tella is indeed a second character. I'm not entirely sure if I take him or not. Porum is going to, over the long term, be a better white mage. I'm not sure we need Tella's black magic too much at this point. But we'll see what Gambit thinks. Gambit says, "Goodbye, Sid. Hello, old man."
I think that's the substitution I would make if I was taking Tella too. Yeah, I like Tella quite a bit. He's a perfect anchor. He has that full kit because we did go to Ordeals. I think I might have seen, I forget if it was a shop or they picked up a Soma drop. That would mean he could cast Swag Rocks, which also occasionally useful. But I think the main temptation for me for taking the Tella here is that he comes with Weak, and Weak really enables the Gold Dragon grind if we end up on the moon.
Yeah, that's a very good reason to take Tella. You wouldn't be wrong either way. We have a Cursed Ring to keep both of them at a good agility level for pretty much any level we would see in the entire fight. But you had mentioned earlier about Edge starting with Edge Charm Claw. You called it.
Oh, well, thankfully, I saw at least Gambit pick up that full moon. If Eykir picks up nothing else, Edge is still pretty good with darts. And
Gambit was just a little early there.
yeah, continuing the theme of bosses that you like to see, this karate fight is completely free. Cecil punches, Yang says, ouch, and we're done.
Yep, simultaneous crumbles. Very nicely done. Our runners are just continue to be in sync. Gambit's done a little bit more checking, has a little bit more information on some things, but it's pretty darn even.
So after this point, let's say that nothing shows up here, key item wise. Where do you like to go next?
If I'm both runners, if I'm Gambit, I'm going back to Elven Cave and picking up those sirens because I absolutely want to get some more levels on Cecil, and just ride him for the rest of the seed. If I'm Eykir, I'm probably going hunting for sirens. Again, we just want acceleration. We want to get a little more XP on some of these characters, get them going a little bit more. That's an adamant rock, though.
Speaking of acceleration, we have found, like you called, early Forge, and we have a Cecil. Now, we were saying that in the restream team, we were saying we all agreed, all four of us, 4 of 4, like crystal swords. Do you like Excalibur?
I do.
I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. Would prefer that crystal sword, but both with Edge on the team to throw it if we find a crystal sword, and Cecil on the team to wield it until we do find anything else. That Excalibur is the second best weapon in the game. Gonna be real happy. And Eykir headed straight to Evelyn Cave. We'll see if he buys any of the sirens, if he checks the shop, and what he does instead may be different than Gambit here.
And the one thing, actually two things that I like about this situation now is one, we see the shop here and we find Zeus gauntlets for sale. It might be prohibitively expensive. Gambit might say no to that because we want to be able to buy those sirens that we saw. But the other thing I really like is that in the Z fight, if we don't find a crystal sword, we have the Avenger. And we don't actually need the Avenger for this, but it's easier with the Avenger. We can glitch the Excalibur with the Avenger, so we get Excalibur damage with the Zerk on the with the Zerk from the Avenger, and then that becomes a dart for Edge.
Yeah, Micah doing a whole lot of selling stuff. I saw him buy 10 pocket swines. I don't know how many sirens he purchased, but hopefully it was about 10. So he is in good stead with that Avenger in hand and those pocket swines. His entire team doesn't need the help of a white mage in order to get nice and angry and punch real hard, real fast. Meanwhile, Gambit finding another pretty free and easy boss here. Bahamut is sitting at the Calbrana spot.
This spot has quite a bit more health and is usually it's almost always the more difficult encounter because the Golbez spot is a scripted fight in vanilla without very good stats and with much less health because you're expected to only have 2 characters in that fight. But with that Excalibur and the Avenger, I think this is basically free. And a lot of this seed, a lot of this underworld is going to be free, I think, at this point.
Yeah, Cecil gonna go real fast. Tella is real slow, making it so that the entire team goes at relative agility 1, meaning they're acting pretty much every tick as much as they can. And the Berserkers really help stop Bahamut from counting so much. They just kind of confuse him. They what we call clog the queue. It's only one thing can happen during each ATB tick, so that's why you saw Bahamut count 5 real fast, but then 3 took an awfully long time to get to after 4.
And Bahamut goes down, easy peasy. We're gonna get a character here. Hopefully it's our Sid. That would be nice to get out of the way. And we know that Mylan and Friends is here because we already saw this sprite. And there's our Sid.
There's our Sid. We're looking now for Z access and one of a Twin Harp or a Pinktail. So not a lot left for our runners.
To be?
And Eykir pretty much falling right behind Gambit into Dwarf Castle. Runners continue to be pretty much just neck and neck.
Yep, Dwarf Castle makes a lot of sense. There's a character check here. You know you need 2 of them. And it's one of the easier encounters because it's the first that you do when you come underground in the vanilla game. So from a kind of character power progression standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah, and it's good experience points too. You get 45,000 if all the bosses give you all the experience here, which is a good number.
Yeah, and really at this point, I think our party is pretty well set here. I mean, with that Excalibur, honestly, with the Excalibur and Avenger, and some way to heal Cecil, whether it's a white mage or potions, I think this party is quite set for a lot of the seed, if not all of it.
Yeah, I'm very
Of
willing to
course, if
take.
we.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
that's right. I'm very willing to take this party all the way to Z with for either runner. Both runners have a very good anchor. Gambit's is a little more has a little more utility in that Tella. Eykir's has a little more kind of stability in case something goes horribly wrong in a Z fight with Sid if he does decide to anchor with a curse ring Sid. So both of them going to do good work, and that's a darkness crystal.
Speaking of our Z axis, hello.
So now runners are faced with how much more do I want to do on Earth, and how fast do I want to go up to the moon? There aren't the two Fame Arch checks that Gambit has looked at weren't terribly appealing before. However, we do have Cecil, an Excalibur, a Moonveil, and a Bacchus wine, so that Mylon Z is 100% free. Cecil's the only one going to live through it, but it's entirely free and going to be pretty fast if Gambit does want to do it.
Yeah, with that quad damage weakness to the Holy Sword, it would go down pretty fast. I think I agree with you there, but Gambit interested first, I think, in these Sirens. We'll see where he goes after this, but yeah, finding a darkness at this point, I call that the panic rock. Like, you get it, and you're like, oh. What do I do? Where do I go? Of course, they'll, figure it out, but the seed could suddenly be coming to a close.
Yeah, that opens up a whole lot of places to check, a whole lot of things that our runners can decide to do, but they can also decide to make the keyless tower gamble. It's paid off a bunch in this tournament so far. It's a very interesting check, and it's one of those, depends on whether you want to play a little defensively and make sure that nothing on Earth is going to gate you, and so you have less to check on the moon. It's going to be just really interesting to see what our runners decide to do at this point. Eykir through that Mylon pretty darn fast. Gets his levels, going to be getting his Darkness Crystal as well, while Gambit is doing his shopping.
Yeah, and along that same line for things to do in the underground before going up to the moon, a chat pointing out, I also like checking the sealed cave. I think that's on the table. Now, I believe the keyless tower play and the sealed cave are going to be similar on time to get to your objective, but the sealed cave, you see your key item before you have to do the encounter. The only situation, I suppose, is that it's a little bit more difficult of a fight, but we have a great anchor, so the incredible agility of that spot really won't matter too much. And we have Sirens to grind up if we're, uncertain about our power level before going to make that check. And we see Gambit, you called it, heading straight to this tower.
Yeah, I think there's no real wrong choice out of any of these checks, and it looks like Eykir is diverging and going to that Luca key. It's possible that Gambit kind of forgot about it. I know that if I don't have a reason to go check Sealed Cave right away after getting the Luca key, I kind of forget about it for longer than I should. So definitely going to be some really good divergence here. If one of these pays out, clearly that runner is got a noticeable advantage. But even if we do get go mode from one spot and not the other, it's not done yet. We've got a lot of seed left to go. We've got to get levels, got to actually get to Z and do the fight.
It is absolutely not done. We've seen early on in this seed, all of your all of your key items were essentially routed for you. There are only so many overworld checks, and the way that ordeals worked, it was just guaranteed to find a magma key access of some sort. And Gambit finding Ashura here, if we put on the Samurai Bow and Mute Arrows, kind of like we called out before, this will be incredibly quick. Though, again, Excal Cecil will do quite a bit of work. Slightly annoying, Gambit has the Avenger on here still, so that makes kind of setup a little bit annoying. However, the magic at this spot is very pathetic, so Ashura if we get a wall on her with Tella, really won't make too much use of her typical kit.
But
Of course, Tella
not
going
going to get a
down
wall
here.
of Tella. Yep.
But so going back to how the routing was, it was very much an execution fight, and now it's a routing situation. That's interesting. Eykir finding a tower key at the sealed cave. We'll see what boss is here.
Yeah, you pretty much are going to walk this out, and it's going to drive Eykir to go straight up to the tower. Yep, so we got some sisters here. A whole lot of mage enemies so far, and no rune axe for our runners to smack them upside the head with.
This is the magic power here is quite high, isn't it?
It is, but the way things kind of go, it's not always the Sandy might not be the one with, or Mindy, sorry, might not be the one with magic power. The stuff kind of gets split up interestingly sometimes with the sisters.
That's interesting. I'll have to look that up. But in the meanwhile, while Eykir is getting through this fight and Gambit, I actually missed that. Did you see what the item that he got from that fight was?
I think Gambit reset out because he's climbing back up the tower.
I see. Okay. So, yeah, like I was saying, once that darkness showed up, and there was some kind of divergence already in the underground, but now there's really divergence about... It's at that point where, you know, two runners are in a pretty equal spot, but if Gambit goes one way and Eykir goes the other, like you said, this is not over at all. We could see, really depending on just where you choose to go, and there are no wrong answers here. There are likely no wrong answers. One will be right and one won't. For instance, Eykir finding the tower key here, that might really have the value.
Yeah, or if it doesn't have the value itself, drives him to where Gambit is. It's so, like, these are not bad calls. There are very aren't very often very wrong choices, but they're just ones that didn't happen to work out for a particular seed. Yes, as Alice was pointing out, going to the Giant is a wrong answer because it can give you nothing except experience. Experience can be valuable, but it's not what these teams need at the moment.
Yeah, that would definitely not be the play.
Pepita, we do have mute arrows and a samurai bow, but I think neither runners kind of put them together. That Forum doing 500 damage isn't terrible, but I don't think that's the full damage that you'd expect out of some samurai bow wielding with mute arrows.
So I was just so curious about this. The Magus Sisters at the Evil Walls spot, all three of them have 79 spell power, which is, that's a lot. However, I'm imagining Cecil is either wearing a rune ring or some other piece of, like magic protection. Is that why? Because I don't think he was taking a lot of damage from Mindy's attacks
I
here.
believe that he has the crystal helm on that was in the Fame Arch free chest. Or at least one of the runners had put it on.
It's the elemental resistance, I see.
We've also seen some Dragoon gear also, so that could also be something that Cecil's wearing. And I believe Forum has a diamond ring. At least one runner equipped Forum with a diamond ring, which would explain the 1 point of damage from the lit one also.
I have never seen Sandy land Berserk. Like, ever.
Oh, I have. It definitely happens. Not terribly often, but definitely happens. But Gambit's doing a much better job here, getting some blinks up on people before getting the party rocking and bopping Asura. So hopefully we'll be through this pretty shortly. Meanwhile, Eykir is just going down the tower. Hasn't decided to... Up there is... Oh, it doesn't have a Black Mage. That's right. He did not keep the Tella, so he does not have access to Warp to kind of make his getting out of here a little bit faster.
That is a bit of a feels bad, but if I'm Eykir, I'm so happy to have that tower key because Keyless Tower is a thought, and it's like, well, I did Sealed Cave instead. Do I then leave, Keyless Tower and go to the moon? Nope, never mind. That's not a consideration at all. We just go straight to tower, see what it has.
Yeah, I think you got to do your 2-for-1 there. I don't remember if Eykir has he actually been into the Fame Arch yet, because that would be a possible choice also. to dive in and just see what that free chest is. If I'm 1 key item away from go mode, I'm pretty interested in maybe checking that freebie out.
That's a
but I
good
don't
point. I'm
think,
actually not sure.
but I don't think I do it if I've chased here into Luca, because I want to follow up on the time investment here.
Well, we'll see what choice Eykir makes. In the meanwhile, Gambit is through that fight, and, well, it's a key item. We find a package that should be 10. I'm slowly
Looks
counting
like
here. It's
9
9,
are lit
right?
up, yeah.
Okay,
It'll be
I
10
can
for
count.
Eykir.
Gambit walking this out. Makes sense. You got the experience off of this. You committed to the fight. Now it's just time to dip. And
Yeah.
yep, like you said, Eykir heading into the Fey March here. We'll get whatever is here. Now, Eykir has more levels, and we'll see that Mylan Zed, which he will know as Mylan Zed because we've already dealt with Mylan and friends, might want to take that fight. And finding a Soma drop here, I thought I saw one of those. Pretty decent.
Yeah, definitely nice. It's a little bit nicer for Gambit to keep the Tele, but an extra 10 MP is always useful, or it's just nice to sell.
Right, Eykir doesn't have that Tele. Yeah, it is also a good amount of money.
So Gambit going to be visiting the Dwarf Pot, picking up a nice free heal here, and then we'll probably go back out. We'll see whether he heads up to the moon, heads to go check that Luca key, which he'll probably feel a little bit bad when he does find that tower key there, if he does go.
Looks like the Fey March is on his mind. Like you said earlier, that Mylan Zed with that weakness and her Cecil able to kind of really chew through it. Eykir not interested though. Don't blame him. That Bygone for sure. Absolutely not. But perhaps the thinking here is, I have that tower key. I know I can go top of tower. I'm just going to do this first.
Yeah, I mean, there are times that you gamble on just getting go mode or getting a 10th key item, like he was probably doing going to Fey March, and then decides, well, I've got now these 2 checks, I should go do it. You're kind of trading one possible efficiency for a different one, because it would be slightly more efficient to just done the tower and then gone to Fey March. He'd have a little more power and might feel more comfortable doing any of the fights, or just deciding that, oh, I now have to do these, where now if he goes back to do that Mylan Zed, he'd be, climbing the Fey March a couple of times during a seed, which never feels great.
Right, and we're at a point where often on this flag set, it really not incentivizes it, it sort of demands a high completion rate. So you kind of don't want to leave checks behind, maybe a couple like the Fey March. But at this point, with 1 key item required and so many checks, finding the freest fight that you never want to find here, King, Queen, and Evelyn at the cannon room, and Gambit has headed in to fight this Mylan Zed.
Yep, and it looks like he is going to be just covering with Cecil. Porum is zerking up Edge, so I think Edge has got some of the full moon equipped still, so we'll be doing extra damage, because Mylan Z is flying. Doesn't look like it, but certainly is a little bit off the air, or a little bit off the ground, so does get quad damage from throwing those boomerangs or throw moons around.
He's those like ice hockey tables, like at home, like the air hockey. That's what I mean. He's floating with his hands just slightly above. It's just an invisible air hockey table underneath him. That's what I'm going with.
I'm willing to go with there too, but doing some good damage here doesn't actually have to do anything else the rest of this fight, because Cecil's only getting hit for 1. I guess it decided to blinking just because, but Mylan Z is down.
Yeah, I understand the thinking here. It's like, my tank is taking damage. I want to make sure he's safe. A little bit of an inefficiency though, since it's not quite necessary, but finding a rat tail here. So 10 key items, yay. And also rat tail, another key item check to see if we can find go mode from it.
Yeah, which I imagine Gambit will follow up immediately on. Definitely feels good to get those 10 key items. Those sirens now getting you double experience. Could get 68,000 off of normal eggs. Could get 180,000 off of double gold dragons up on the moon. I would personally prefer just staying underground and doing the easy eggs, just because it's a nice, simple, straightforward. You don't need anything else other than sirens.
Yeah, and with that X-Cal Cecil, I mean, you put him up top, you've got a good anchoring situation. You just pop sirens and hold A.
And speaking of anchoring, Eykir is continuing to anchor with Yang, putting him in the middle. We're seeing Gambit pretty standard rely on having the slowest possible anchor with the Curse Ring and Sid first and then Tella. Gambit getting a little bit more leverage out of that X-Cal Cecil because of what he's decided to do with his anchoring situation, which overall I like better. Eykir could be looking at like trying to have a 28 agility Yang in the Z fight, or maybe just hasn't really thought about the curse string and putting it on to kind of leverage Berserk and that status too well.
Yeah, Gambit finding just an arty bow at the rat tail turn-in. That's one of those checks like I think I like to save there before going back above ground. Though I suppose if you know that you're done with the underground, just taking the arty bow and then running with it makes sense, but kind of a womp womp there. Finding the 10 key items though is nice. Gambit raising the big whale here. We might be seeing our grind happen on the moon for Gambit.
Yeah, I imagine we will. Have we seen Hourglass 2s yet?
No, I don't believe so. I don't think we've checked all the shops. I don't think either runner has gone to Kokol. The Fey March only had cabins. It was the only thing in that shop. And then we saw the sirens, and I'm not sure what else was at the Eblin Cave. There is the moon shop that could have that could have hourglasses in it.
Yep, and neither runner has gone into Tomra either to check on the job dwarf or to check that shop there. So there's a few places where we could look for hourglasses. I would definitely, it's possible our runners have also picked up some meat bells that I didn't notice, because otherwise I would like the grinding on the moon better with either mute bells or with hourglasses. It just makes the fights that you would summon with those sirens a little bit safer and faster too.
And thank you, Xenocat, our tracker tonight, pointing out that Bacchus was also available in Eblin, which normally I would say is great for this party, but honestly is Avenger Cecil Gober.
He does, but
as the kids say.
Indeed. It does let Gambit kind of let Edge and Yang Zerk themselves, and Porm can get started maybe throwing a Star Veil up on herself or something in the Z fight, or getting some blanks out in other fights. That's a turtle. I'm probably turning the turtle down. Looks like we're going to get some Siren Grind first, and then we might get a turtle after that.
Well, this is a bit... I think we're going to lose a couple of characters here. If we don't have hourglasses, Tella might be able to stop, but the blitzes could target any of our party members here.
Yeah,
going down.
It's definitely a little bit of a risk doing this. Porm.
Oh, and unfortunately guarding with that Cecil. Cecil for, I believe balance freezes when you guard with him, stops covering.
Yeah, since you get kind of like a defense bonus for defending, he'd be even more broken with that cover ability if he was able to defend and continue covering people. So probably a very good reason, and like you said, some balance reasons for the game for why the original programmers made him work that way.
But thankfully, with our really good anchoring situation here, we have the time to pick up our entire party. Tella's going to cast his weak, Cecil's going to swing. Easy peasy, get our experience, and then either dip or take this fight.
I would imagine you'd at least exit out to heal up on the big whale, just to have, because this Kanato is not going to be a little bit angry. I'm going to punch very, very hard. The wave won't be terrible, but would not be a fight I would take without doing a little camping first. And Eykir just continuing on with the Sasura fight. Just slowly knocking her down, having a time of it.
I think I saw Eykir look at Porum's inventory, was eyeing, I think she's wearing that samurai bow, and he was eyeing, I want to say looking for mute arrows, and there was a single mute arrow left in the inventory, but I don't know if either Eykir missed it or put that mute arrow on. I would imagine this would be doing more damage though. It is Porum, she does not have a lot of strength. Oh, and Ashura getting that Cure 4 off. Healing up for 9,000, that feels bad.
I don't know if we're actually at the point where Asura doesn't actually heal her own HP, but I think it was less than quad 9, so unfortunately that was probably a full heal. Which Eykir might be in a forever war with Asura if that's happening more than once.
Yeah, meanwhile, Gambit doing another Gold Dragon encounter here. Slightly inefficient, maybe just from not having the hourglasses. I would have liked to check the shop first, personally, but really not a lot of danger we're seeing here. Cecil's able to cover easily, and anyone that gets blitzed down, we can just pick right back up. Kind of annoying if Tella gets paralyzed, but that has not happened here, so we'll see how many he wants to do. We are at 10 key items, so there might be incentive to just kind of do a bunch of them. Maybe not all of them because you're going to take moon bosses, but we'll see what happens here.
Yep, Mantella does go down there, so yeah, there is a little danger here. We have seen some runners wipe to doing this without having hourglasses. Cecil is a big factor in this being not quite so bad, having that elemental resist, so he's taking less damage from the blitzes and just being overall a very tanky person and doing some covering. So Gambit's in less danger than some other runners we've seen do this without hourglasses, but still a little bit. This is still a little nerve-wracking, I would believe, for him.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do, but you can and absolutely should, is run away. We don't have the E can't run flag on. If your grind is going bad, just run, just bolt. Feels bad to waste the time, but we're through it. No problems here. We'll see if Gambit's interested in this fight or not. If not, are you interested in Gambit's side? Are you going bottom up or top down?
There's been a lot of meta so far where top down has been the play for people. He's only one key item away. If you're doing this grinding, you probably are doing this boss pretty soon after. And then if I'm doing this, I'm probably going to do the Mercy on my altar first. Just because I want that one key item and not have to walk all the way to the bottom of the moon. But you do have more density down at the bottom, so 6 of one, half of the other. I don't hate either choice. You just kind of have to say, well, if my opponent is here and doing the other one, I've lost if my gamble isn't correct, and that's just kind of how it's going to work for runners.
Yep, we're at a point. Definitely agree there. Kind of like I was saying earlier, we're sort of at a, I'm going to call it a coin flip situation where all the choices you could make from this point out, there might be like routing efficiencies that could come into play, but really it's sort of like, do I choose A or B, or do I choose B or C? So I could really see either going on an, oh, Eykir taking an unfortunate reset here after putting all that time into Ashura. That certainly feels bad. We'll see what he wants to do to rectify this situation. Whether he goes back or he just says, I'm done with it. Nope. Charging right back in. Don't blame him at all. Hopefully with a better setup. Get the blinks up early, get the wall on Ashura. Find that mute arrow that is definitely still in your inventory. And Zerk up whoever can put on that samurai bow. And this fight is definitely doable for Eykir here. Meanwhile, Gambit is, looks like he's done with his grind for now. Gonna head on out. We'll see if Gambit either wants to kind of heal up and come back in, or perhaps Gambit will take on that turtle. Gambit picking up the whale, saying, nope, I want nothing to do with that turtle. Let's go in the moon. Inatso is rather rude in that spot. At least you have a source of Zerk, so the waves won't happen kind of constantly, but I'm not sure if Thor Rages are in inventory. There might be no way to stop the waves. And we find Iridia here on the moon. Highly unlikely we'll be taking her.
Yeah, I would doubt that she joins the party. She is likely destined to be going down, having some Shirley Temples at Cafe Howdy. No longer able to be joining the party.
What is in a Shirley Temple?
That's what, grenadine and like Sprite or ginger ale or something?
Sounds pretty refreshing.
I remember having them as a kid. You'd go to like Red Lobster or somewhere that would serve cocktails, and you, as a kid, couldn't actually have a cocktail, so you'd get a Shirley Temple or something like that. I like how both Joy Brilliant and Ishmu have different variations of which one it is. Either one's going to taste delicious, though.
I'm a big fan of ginger ale myself. I was just talking with Scala about this somewhat recently, where I guess I'll not call her out for a moment, but she said something like 50% of my blood is ginger ale, and I definitely like that drink quite a bit.
Yeah, I do too. I've really enjoy the like triple ginger, non-alcoholic ginger beers, because I just really like the kick and the spice of it. But ginger ale, real good. Love me some Canada Dry or something like that.
For some reason, I'm always drinking ginger ale when I'm on an airplane. Like, I don't know if there's some association I created there, but that's just like, I don't know. It's just become my drink for flights.
I think also, like, in airplanes, often things don't have as much flavor because of, I don't remember the reason, but there's some particular reason why stuff on airplanes, you have to have a little more kick to it to have flavor. So I could totally see wanting to have a ginger ale there instead, because it just gets you a little bit extra oomph.
Really? I never knew that. I thought that was just like a, I don't know, like a money thing or something. Like, yeah, we're on an airplane. We're not going to give you that great food, whatever. Like, you'll be off this plane in like 2 hours. Have fun. But meanwhile, Gambit going top down, finding at the Murasame, right? I always get these backwards. Finding at the Murasame altar. Thank you. The D-Lunars here, which, not so bad. I don't know if we have the damage output to get through this before they do their breath, so without access to Quake, without wanting to punch, I'm not quite sure how hard they hit. However, they punch with their viruses, I mean. However, their punches are quite deadly here.
Yeah, I mean, we did see Gambit throw a Moon Veil and then a Star Veil, so he is just all preparing for frog shots at this point. But gets it the nice, perfect one breath, two frogs. Let's throw, and then X-Cal. Let's go beat up some lunar frogs.
But they're so cute.
Meanwhile, Eykir struggling a little bit with this Asura. Cecil's down, doing some scrambling. Hopefully he's able to get this back together and under control, get the team back up, and actually complete this Asura fight. While, goodness, Cecil does a number on those frogs. They're both dead before I could really blink.
Finding just a white shirt. Funny enough, Cecil can wear that and make quite good use of it at the Z fight. Not that you really need. Of course, it will be for Porm instead. A little bit of insurance at the Z fight. I don't mind it. It's not a key item. And we'll see here, Gambit choosing to exit out, and okay, we're going right back in. I imagine we're going to the bottom of the moon at this point.
Yeah, but Eykir is through that Asura. Thankfully, does not have to take a reset or anything to it. Finally gets it down. We'll be walking out the tower, and finally, after a long bit of suspense, we'll be able to see what Edge's parents had hiding in the Super Cannon room.
I hope it's a Shirley Temple.
Could they deliver one to all of us?
Please. And thank you.
Yeah, I wonder if Gambit's going to go continue the true top down and maybe stop off at the Crystal Sword altar, or if he's going to head down to the bottom floor, do probably the Ribbon Room if he goes there first, just because that's more XP and gets him 2 chances out of 1 fight for the key item to go. This is a pretty pivotal moment for Eykir. If this does not give him go mode, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, definitely agree. It either has to be here or maybe he does that cave value immediately. Finding a Baron key, that is chains.
That is
Now
2
it's-
more chances to get go mode. That is stuff that Gambit would have a long time to get to. So that could all be locked behind there.
And here's a divergence that we were just talking about since that moment where Gambit chose to go to the top of Keyless Tower and Eykir chose to go into the sealed cave. Now, Eykir has not done his grind yet, probably thinking I wish I had done this first. Though 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah, has 11 key items now, so probably wishing he had done this first. However, he'll get his levels, he'll get to the power level he needs to kind of run through the rest of the seed, at least be able to take moon fights. But now with that Baron key in hand, you've already dedicated the time. Oh, Gambit saying heck no to that.
Yeah, no to yeehaw there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying there. That Eykir probably thinking about that Baron key. He did not have 10 key items before going up the tower. He did get 2 key items in the tower, so that's why he's at 11 now.
Right, okay. I mean, I still like a couple of eggs just to have a little more strength, perhaps, but maybe there's just a different way to get through the Assura that isn't so bad. The main thing I'm thinking about if I'm Eykir is that I feel behind. I feel like that Assura took much longer than I wanted it to.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. But maybe that Baron key has exactly what I need, so I think if I were Eykir, I would head straight there. You have to follow that chain from the sealed cave.
Right, you've gone so far, you have to hope that it's there, because otherwise you just throw that time away if you don't follow it up.
And I believe, is this more vanilla? Yes, it is. Hello, Plague.
Yeah, Plague did not want to move, wants to continue guarding where the white spear was in vanilla. We've got some drain spears for sale. We could buy those and have Edge throw them, but I think it's a little late for that overall. Solaris, do you remember seeing any edge weapons anywhere? I think that there were long swords available in Fabul, but I don't quite remember actually.
Yes, they were available in a shop, and I also think it was Fabul, because I don't think it might have been Silvera also, because I think both runners went there. There was a full moon. I at least saw Gambit pick up from a treasure chest. Oh, Gambit finding go mode. Oh, this is terrible news for Eykir. Eykir has to find.
Yeah, he has to find
the pigtail, like immediately.
There's no pigtail here. It is unfortunately going to be back against the wall for the rest of the tournament for Eykir. Gambit, though, gets that Twin Harp, jets out of there, going to be giving us some music, then probably going to be coming straight back to the moon, maybe finish off a grind, maybe just go straight in. Kind of depends on what he feels like his team is ready for, how behind he might feel with how long that his grind took earlier. Definitely a lot of things up in the air for him. And I like the Swagabo play here.
Yeah, I believe this chocobo, the black chocobo in this forest, it spawns after the darkness crystal shows up. Is that right? After you've raised the big whale?
After you've raised the big whale, and I believe after you step into the big whale. You have to go into it and then walk back out, and then the chocobo's there. I think it takes a little bit more than just raising it. But getting that Swagabo does mean that he will be able to get back on this black chocobo, take him right back to the big whale. He doesn't have to do any flying to Troya and then walking back down. So it's a nice play. It saves him, just a couple seconds, but it is nice to do.
Yeah, a nice piece of efficiency there. One benefit for Eykir, if we find exactly the pink tail here in the Baron bin, and Gambit takes a little bit of a while, I could see the pink tail being a little bit quicker to just turn in, and then neither of them have a pass, so I mean, we could still have a race on our hands. Somewhat unlikely at this point, though, but we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely could still have a race. It's not over until the Z is actually crumbling for anyone. There's plenty of opportunity for Zerma's fight to go sideways on people, even when we're pretty well practiced at relative agility 1 Berserker strats. You can absolutely still have something horrible happen. The combo platter, as it's like to be called, where you get a big bang that immediately follows up into Meteor and just kind of wipes you out entirely, is very much on the table.
Yeah, especially with this Porum on our team, who certainly at the Z fight, she is just not the better white mage. She just doesn't have the hit point growth. She doesn't even have the willpower growth for that better stat. She does get better defense multipliers, I believe, for magic, but her hit point level, it's an uncomfortable place to be in a Z fight because a full Big Bang, she's very likely to die, and unless you can throw some apples at her, get some good experience on her, or nerf Big Bangs. So definitely not necessarily a free fight. And in the meanwhile, we're gonna kind of let DJ Spoony B play his tune. Oh my gosh, this is worth interrupting. Eykir finding that pink tail. We have a race.
Yeah, he is now got to go pick up that hovercraft and then go to the moon, get his levels, and go defeat Zero Mist. So it's on.
Oh my! Oh,
it's even more on.
Wow.
Hello, all Gauntlet. When you're trying to just desperately go as fast as possible and get your crystal, we're gonna listen to the song for a little bit.
I do love this song. However, I hate seeing this if I'm Gambit, of course, because not only is it 5 encounters, but we don't have a black mage. We don't have an easy way to wipe the screen out with every fight.
Yeah, we don't even have Edge in the place where you could do a flame to kind of do a little bit of sweeping. This is not the dream for Gambit. He's just kind of bleeding time. He does have a huge level advantage though, so this is going to be pretty close.
Eykir looks like not quite comfortable with having to nerf every Big Bang. Does want a little bit more experience.
Yeah, well, even that Cecil's only
eggs.
level 39. I would absolutely want to get Cecil to 45, probably, maybe a little bit more. He doesn't have the white shirt Porum that Gambit picked up from the moon on that Porum, so definitely going to be looking for some more experience just to kind of get going. Might be looking to get Porum up to even to level 48 or higher to get Cure Forerunner.
Yeah, and some more damage multipliers on Cecil. We see him not quite killing an egg in one swing. With some more levels, he'll be able to do that.
Yeah, that should be coming around pretty darn fast.
And answering a question in chat, does Eykir have a cursed ring? Yes, I believe both of them picked up. I don't remember where it was now, but I believe they both have it.
There was one in the treasury and one in Antlion Cave, and I believe both runners did pick up, did open the chest at least with both. Whether or not they've kept them is a different question. Edge doing good work there with that swoon proc with, I assume, an assassin dagger in his hand.
Yang with the kick. That was pretty nice. One kick, take out all those bats.
Yeah,
Actually putting in work.
Can do some good work later.
Rarely see it, but when you do see it, oh, so good.
Yeah, it is some good tech to remember that's even a thing, because it's used so seldomly in for Enterprise. But there are some good places for it, and a all gauntlet at an early location when you got a lot of levels is a perfect spot.
Another niche Another niche thing you can do here, Gambit won't need to if he's bought Bacchus wine, is you can actually steal Bacchus from the ogres here.
Yeah, and they are lower level than the ogres and trap chests, those mad ogres, so it's a little bit easier for Edge to steal. Meanwhile, Eykir is getting into his airship. Uh, Gambit is getting his crystal delivered by the Hummingway delivery service. And we will see exactly how this comes together. Eykir does have to raise the whale, so he's got a little bit of a time sink to go there. This is going to be darn close.
I think we're going to be on this fight at the exact same time. If not very close to exact same time. This is... Oh, wow. This was a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. And both runners doing a good job of just following their instincts and keeping with their plan. Gambit was clearly saying, I don't want to do Luca. I'm just going to avoid it. So he never stepped in. Where Eykir was like, cool, let's do this. Okay, now I got to follow this chain. Didn't get distracted from it. Both rewarded for their choices. We'll just see who's rewarded a little bit more with a victory here tonight.
I am definitely in suspense. One wipe would be quite devastating for either runner here. Z, of course, is not a fast fight. Does take a good amount of time just to get through the script alone of the start, much less get through the entire battle. So that would be really the main concern at this point.
Yeah, and Gambit's going to just continue picking up a little bit of time on Eykir because he's already been down here. Doesn't have to wait for the character cutscene too, so he's probably got about a minute lead on Eykir, just in terms of getting to the Z fight first.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, I think, a couple of things. It's going to be a point of efficiency. Who has the most efficient turns at Z and needs to just take less actions. It might certainly come down to, like we were saying earlier, it's a really nasty Big Bang, but that goes back into wipe territory. But the advantage definitely on Gambit's side at the moment.
And Eykir switching out, getting her Sid, getting that Rydia anchor, so is now also appropriately anchored. Both runners are going to go in with the what is a pretty common Ultimate Agility 1 Berserker setup here. So just not a whole lot of difference left to go, except for maybe some levels. I don't remember exactly where either runner is, but Yang, he had a good bit of hit points. So I feel like both runners should be pretty comfortable in the Z fight.
Yeah, I really think it's going to come down to efficiency here. Like I said, sort of near the start of this seed, once we saw that Excalibur, if one of our runners makes the play to glitch the Excalibur and have Edge dart it afterwards, things like that, if one runner does it and the other doesn't. Also, even just the menuing efficiency, how long Eykir and Gambit spend setting up their party before we see Gambit not spending long at all, saving and running out. Even just the menuing here, every little thing is going to count at this point. And now's about the time. I'm going to spur chat on a little bit.
Yeah, there's some flag waving to happen, chat. What's going on? Y'all partying too hard on a Saturday night to get the flags out?
Thinking too hard about Shirley Temples, I think.
Could be. They're a good drink. But Solaris, now that you've done that, I see some flags in chat. What do they mean?
So, Zeromus, the flag, of course, RZ means for Zeromus. We do not randomize his location. In short, Big Bang at Baron Inn would be quite bad. But we do randomize his sprite. So now coming into the fight, first of all, we ask, with our... words, hard. Whose butt are we going to kick tonight? That's the thing. I did it. I said it.
You did it indeed.
What butt? Where butt?
There's been a lot of hope for cute butts lately. We haven't really seen it too many. We had a very scary Moonmas butt earlier, I think yesterday. definitely frightened some of the commentary team. Our restreamer Alicel does have a specific request that she would like to see because she was able to get one into the pool. So let's hope that it's hers.
I hope so. I'm just hoping for not creepy. I have had quite a bit of creepy lately, but we'll see. Oh, this is a good one. I don't recognize it, but it's beautiful.
I feel like it's Legend of Mana or somewhere in that series.
Yeah, it definitely has
Breath of
the
Fire
feeling.
3?
Breath of Fire 3, got it. Yeah, it has that like mana, like color scheme, like that feeling to it, styling. Very pretty.
Yeah, but both runners in the Z fight pretty close together. It looks like Dishbu was doing a little bit of counting down, and it is 59 seconds between them when they entered the fight.
Thistle taking the counter nuke. No big deal at all there. We'll shake that off with a Cure 3 or Cure 4 from Tella.
Yeah, good old Cure 4. When single targeted, doesn't matter what your magic power is of the caster, it will always full heal.
Yep, one of the things I really love about Tella, honestly, because his white magic stat is abysmal otherwise.
Ooh, and Edge taking the counter nuke on Eykir's side, going down to 79 HP. Hopefully able to get a cure on him pretty soon.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those moments. If we cannot get a cure onto Edge, I see the elixir. Ooh, doesn't quite make it. This is going to slow down Eykir's fight.
Yeah, and I noticed it took Eykir a little while to get Setzel going with the Avenger glitch. So that does kind of slow you down a little bit. You like to get those Berserkers in as soon as possible, just eating turns, getting some buffer for you. Because they'd enter the queue and just do their thing immediately. You don't need to tell them to do anything. So they have a good effect of slowing down Zeromus, getting you more turns on your side.
And I just have to read this comment from chat. Breath of Fire 3 is also the game where a dolphin rages at you in an Australian slang. Things I didn't know.
And they let you rewatch the scene without the Australian slang. It was very weird and very funny. Thank you for that information, Hopfin. That is delightful to know. Eykir's fight still feeling a little shaky. Gets Zeromus getting a shake off. Okay, Form did have a Cure 3 queued up, so hopefully at least the Zerkers stay alive. But that's rocks for Gambit.
Side.
Rocks mean that this is pretty much over. Gambit only has about 12,000 HP or fewer to chew through. Meanwhile, Eykir has somewhat more than that because he's getting a big bang.
Yeah, Gambit really had all the advantages here. He had the time advantage, he had the level advantage, that counter nuke, not taking down Edge, so no time wasted there, picking him back up. And there's the flash, the crack, and GG's to Gambit. 017, the win, putting him now at 3-1 with an official time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 55 seconds.
And we'll see if we can get Gambit in here for an interview.
And I believe actually we're joined now by Gambit. GG's, Gambit.
I'm still reeling from that one.
Hi, how are you? Tell us all the things. How was the scene for you?
It was interesting. I'm very glad I faded the couple checks I faded, including that Golbez and Ribbon Room. That would have been nasty.
Yeah, that would have taken some time that you might not have since we were watching Eykir finish up the Z fight also. So what else had you reeling?
Just it was more kind of how everything fell together right around the 40-minute mark. So going from no objectives done to 3 done in the span of 5 minutes was just like, okay, now I'm 1 objective away, and I felt so far behind. I'm like, my opponent's probably already done this. My opponent's probably already done this, and I'm just like, okay, I need to go. I need to grind. I need to go. I need to just hurry up. That's why I didn't even check the shop for hourglasses on the moon. I'm just like, just we're going to go to Cape Value. We're going to see what's there. We're going to do a grind. I said no to that Kanazo and just kept on trucking.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the questions we had in the booth was why you're taking those grinds and how you're feeling with them. Did you feel uncomfortable with them? Were you kind of like, oh gosh, this is a little nerve-wracking doing that grind without the hourglasses?
It's been a while since I've done reuse without an hourglass. It's something I know I can do, but it's not fun. Well, I was just like, you know what? Tel's got weak. Let's go in. Let's pop them. Let's just kind of parry back around. We'll use Cecil cover strats, which worked out pretty well, except for when the blitzes came out, then it wasn't so well. But made it through. So, I mean, just kind of pushed through it, got Porum to Cure 4, and I was like, that's all I need. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. We were talking earlier while both y'all were headed into Zot, actually, that our characters could show up suddenly, and then if, like, you know, the other half of Forge, which I forget if we'd found that at that point or not, but, like, just suddenly, it could suddenly just be go, and then finding that Darkness Rock after getting our objective done, that was something. How were you feeling at that point?
My thought process after completing Zot, getting both Edge and then the Adamant to complete the Forge from there, I was like, okay, so Zot hard required. And I was scared. I was going, okay, my opponent's probably already did this because we've got 2 character hunts. Zot's 2 characters to check. More than likely, he's already been here. I need to go fast. So immediately went to Dwarf Castle, got the Sid, and then saw the Darkness Crystal. I'm like, I've got 7 key items. I want to get up to 10 before I grind. Let's do a couple quick checks, which led me to Babel, and then forgetting to unequip the Avenger, which really hurt. But just trying to get to those extra key items to make the grind easier. And then once I had the 10, I was like, I'm going to the moon. We're going to go top down at first, see what's there, and then kind of go down to the bottom, see what's up. And thankfully had that value in the White Spear altar. And that gauntlet was a thing.
Oh yeah, it certainly was. That was a roller coaster finish. I definitely recommend watching that back. I'll point out real quick here, Eykir is through the Z fight and has finished with an official time of 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 12 seconds, and we'll have him here shortly afterwards for an interview if he is so interested. I do have another question for you, Gambit. There was a point that you had the hook and you checked the shop for sirens and the character. We ran in, I forget what character was there, but we reset out of it. Were you meaning to go back to the overworld and then go back in the shop, or was it an intentional play to just go all the way back to Zot and then head up it?
It was intentional to go back to Zot. My thought, that's why I took the save outside of Zot. I did not save going into Elbin. I was like, let's check the shop, see what's here. I saw Bacchus and Siren. And I was like, good, I know where these are. I'm not buying any now because if the character down here is not required, we're not staying, we're resetting. Got down to the bottom, it was a Palom. And at that point in the seed, even though I hadn't grinded, I'm like, by the time I get the experience to get Palom online, that's just going to be a time sink. So no, I don't want him reset all the way back to Zot and then immediately start climbing just to save the seconds there.
Right, yeah. My only thought there is maybe you can exit out and grab the sirens at least and then run, but it was definitely a lot of time saved, honestly, to just reset all the way back. So yeah, we were curious kind of between the two of them, and that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it was knowing that they were there, I was able to go grab the hovercraft, go back later, pick up those sirens, pick up those Bacchus, sell the farm to get 15 of each, and I was like, that should be plenty for what I need. So and again, as I said, just saving time by resetting all the way back out instead of having to use the hovercraft, go back to the Enterprise and go back to Zot. And I just thought it would be faster just to take that reset all the way back.
Sounds very well considered. So you're 3-1 now. You're pretty much in control of your own destiny. Feel comfortable at 3-1? Feel like you have a good chance of getting into the next round of the tournament?
I feel happy that I have 2 chances, but there is a lot of good runners at 3-1 right now, and I don't see myself being favored in any match next week, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to try. I more feel sorry right now for all the people who are 2-2, who I just threw Eykir into that pool, and my apologies. Have fun, because Eykir is a very, very good runner, and yeah, have fun with that, guys.
Yeah, most certainly. The 3-in-1 pool is really the 2-in-2 pool and the 3-in-1 pool. There are, I think, so many good runners in this tournament now. I find myself in the 3-in-1 pool at the moment myself, and there are definitely a lot of runners that I am not interested in facing up against, but we can't dodge them all. So could even be me and you, Gambit. We'll see.
We will have to see tomorrow when the pairings come out after the last race. But
Yep.
yeah, no, thank you, Antidale. Thank you, Solaris, for doing the comms on this one. Xenocat for the tracking. Can't help but gave you enough buttons to push. And Aliceal for this wonderful seed. This was fun. I'm going to let Eykir come on in and say his side of the story, and then have you guys have a great rest of the day, and see you guys next week, hopefully.
Well, thank you, and GG Gambit.
Yeah, GG's. Congratulations on the win again. And yeah, thanks so much for volunteering to be restreamed, you know, as many of us are, just for the tournament in general. And yeah, you have a good one.
Have a good night.
And I believe we are joined by Eykir. GG Eykir. That was a heck of a seed and a heck of a finish.
Sure was. I had to watch the last few minutes of it. That was close.
Yeah, it certainly was quite close. How are you feeling? I have a number of questions, but the first I have to ask is, how are you feeling when you found that pink tail?
Very relieved. I chased that one because I went and chased it. I had a path, and usually on these, I've seen a lot of times that the moon is haunted. So I figure I'm going to do the stuff on the Earth first because that's probably where it is.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. We found that chain started at the sealed cave, which was a divergent choice. You had one of many at that point, so you know, definitely got to chase the value, and it worked out there in that way. But unfortunately, just not quite close enough. My next question here is: so we're at the start of the seed, nearly the start, or fairly shortly in, and we go from like no objectives to almost all of them in a darkness rock. Tell me about, you know, your mindset at that point.
Let's see. We got what, 2 of them early. I closed my thing, so I don't even know what the objectives were. But yeah, after the Earth crystal, when we had the one person, and then we had at a meeting at Sid there. We got Sid somewhere else. Then we had 2 objectives going in, and then Baron gave us, or the Dwarf Castle gave us a third. So like at that point, it's like, okay, I need one of 2 items, and I just need to kill things and get the items. And it's like the previous race I had where it came down to just one. All it takes is one check. Mine was behind a chain. I was very happy to get that one. I saw the other one was on the moon. So divergent paths, either one can get it, but it's just, where do I go? I just stayed on the Earth. That was my plan.
Yeah, were you feeling pretty good when you did get that pink tail and hadn't seen a dot done yet?
I was feeling really good, yes. I wasted all that time on a Shura fight, and I'm like, oh, please, this has to be something, because the Shura wasn't. It gave me the 10th key item so I could grind quicker, but I need something out of that tower key, and I was really relieved when it came back as the pink tail. I'm like, okay, I'm in go mode, but I have no idea where Gambit is.
Yeah, that Assura fight sure took a lot out of you. Were you thinking about resetting out of it at any point?
Maybe slightly earlier, like once she was doing the cure 4s and only getting a few hit points out of them, I knew I'd like tripped over the weird bug when she gets like over 10,000 damage. But then I somehow messed that one up, and she got cure 3s followed by cure 4 off and went all the way back to full. So I just reset out of it so I could redo it better. And had I just left, it might have been a different story. We might have been a lot closer. But I have to kill her for the item, because we're looking for one of 2 items. She could have it. Yeah, that fight was just terrible on my part.
Yeah, you both took a long time during that fight. I think, did you equip any of the anti-mage stuff? I think you had some mute arrows in the inventory at one point.
I think I have 1 left, because that's what I had Poram equipped with earlier. And when I swapped out to samurai arrows, there were only 1 mute arrow left. Unless I picked some more up and just didn't realize it.
Yeah, I don't remember
No,
if you had Bacchus wine at that point. Whether you could have swapped him over to Sid and had him drink some wine instead.
Yeah, totally could have done that. Didn't even think about it. I don't think I found any mute knives. So I was trying to find a better weapon for Sid, just never found one. Like no rune axes, no earth hammers, even no any axes.
Yeah, the loot early really was pretty much just stacked towards Cecil. That defense sword showed up very early, and we knew he was at the Baron Inn, so, and with a power shirt, yeah, definitely a lot really leaned towards working with Cecil and then basically whatever else that you could find. So now you are 2-2, so does that change how you approach next week? How are you feeling about that?
I'm gonna keep playing my game, and this one I knew Gambit was going to be a tough matchup here, and he proved it. He only beat me by a few minutes, but I figured he had a decent chance of beating me. So I see the 2-2 is stacked with good people, so it's going to be tough no matter who I get matched up with. Just keep playing my game though.
Definitely stacked. I find myself at 3-1 myself, and yeah, I agree with that. Just for myself, my own mindset, it's just, you know, play my own game, see how I do. Yeah. So, well, do you have any other questions, Antidale?
I don't think I do. Just GG's, Eykir, and good luck to you in next week. And hopefully your tournament keeps going on for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the commentators, restreamers, and trackers. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Yeah, of course, and I'll be rooting for you next week. And yeah, thank you so much. You have a great night.
You guys have a good night too.
And for now, we are going to be taking you, I believe, over to the Free Enterprise channel. I believe we have another race going on there.
Yeah, I believe that is Martin Barcloak versus Ground Flyer. I don't remember what their records are offhand, but we'll be going there soon. Should be a very good time, and we do have a couple races for you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Zilch versus Chaos Hades on Free Enterprise, and then at 7 p.m. Eastern is Commander Leonhardt versus Rumblefish 82, closing out the week, and they will be on RPG Limit Break. So, and I'm told by Xenocat that it is an elimination match that we're going to. So, let's cheer both runners on. Hopefully, they do a great job.
Absolutely. And remember, chat, no spoilers for this race. No spoilers whatsoever. But anyways, for the meanwhile, I want a Shirley Temple now. I don't think I'm gonna have one. I don't think I have the ingredients, but that's where my mind is at for the rest of my evening. So but always a pleasure. Thank you, Antdale. This was and thank you, of course, Tracker Restreamer. But for me, I'm Solaris, and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.